In 1655, Pierre Lambert finds himself more determined than ever to persevere in the practice of self-denial, and decides to submit to a radical test. This test consists of the rhythm between the divine and human consultations, in which the person being led tries to perceive directly in prayer the will of God, but limits the risks of subjectivity by submitting his intuition to his director. The directee can return to deliberation in prayer as many times as it deems necessary to achieve a choice to which the directed will submit to in all obedience. Thus, tempted first by a pilgrimage of abjection to Nantes or Angers via Our Lady of Artilleries of Sommer, Pierre Lambert is sent to consult Our Lady at the Basilica of Our Lady of Deliverance for a decision. It is here where Bishop Lambert decides to change his clothes into those of the most miserable, poor man he could ever encounter, and to present himself, for 15 days, or 3 weeks, with those who are poor, to familiarize himself with them, and to live there with alms. To judge the validity of his new project, he is asked to complete a 30-day retreat, during which he must suspend all his practical activities, including any charitable activities. On the 20th day of his retreat, July 15th, his director, after having observed exactly all the movements of grace in his soul, returns to the first suggestion, that of a pilgrimage of abjection, but changes the destination for Rennes, where the tomb of the Carmelite John of St. Samson is located. A year later, after having been ordained a priest, and after celebrating his first Mass at Coutances, Father Lambert returned to Caen in 1656. Despite his desire to flee all honors, upon his return to Caen, he finds letters from his friends in Rouen asking him to return and accept a position at the Bureau of the Poor. Although this unexpected request demonstrates the prestige Pierre Lambert enjoyed among his former peers, he has embraced a path of rigorous asceticism in order to renounce all worldly attachments, self-love, and a life of honors marked by his remarkable education. At the Hermitage, he took on a taste for silence, recollection, and meditation, which enkindled in him a desire for a permanent life of prayer. He left everything for God alone, but now he is offered an ecclesiastical replica of the life he has precisely renounced. He is keenly aware that this position of responsibility will make him one of the most prominent figures in the city. By accepting the position, he will have to attend many events and take on a workload of social commitments, which are incompatible with the humble and quiet life he seeks and wishes to preserve. Moreover, he is aware that he lacks theological training and desires to deepen his understanding of God through intense study. As a result, Father Pierre is faced with an important decision. He must choose between two apparent goods. Should he choose a life of humility or charity? With the support of 3 companions at the Hermitage, they agree to guide him in his discernment. Lambert begins by refusing the position at the Bureau of the Poor, and his decision is confirmed after a novena at Douver-la-Delivrande. However, at the end of a second novena, Father Lambert's advisors notice that this double refusal is a sign of humility. They also realize that if Father Lambert changes his mind and accepts the position, it would constitute, in itself, a sufficient humiliation. As a result, his spiritual companions at the Hermitage urge him to accept the position as a sign of humility. Despite accepting the position at the Bureau, a letter from his friends in Rouen reveals more about his decision. In a letter, Lambert's peers give him an ultimatum, saying, "If you are not ready to come, we are determined to go and take you." In other words, despite making a decision, he did not immediately act on it. Instead, he immediately sought the guidance of Our Lady for his new mission at Douver-la-Delivrande. He is aware that the Holy Spirit wants him to have paternal tenderness for the children and the poor, instilling in them a profound reverence for God. By maintaining a sense of community, both inside and outside, he tried to create a genuine spirit of charity among all, connecting with them through sincere affection for each individual, and a deep respect for their circumstances. We are able to see that Notre-Dame-de-la-Delivrande was the first place where Lambert learned how to discern the movements of the Holy Spirit.